Good afternoon from yammyb TV. Wishing you all well, sending plenty of love your way as usual. Now, many comments last night talking about John Hasse, Liverpool's John Hasse, getting a new, fresh 9-year sentence for alleged arson, amongst other things, right? And the comparisons with Curtis Warren's recent video and what we know about Curtis Warren's rehabilitation and resettlement into the community. What's the difference? I'll get to that in a minute. Right now, answer the question. I think someone just said Billy Moore made a video, Uncle Billy, right, talking about the ages when you go to prison. Because when I did, remember I finished off the 12, 13, I did all of it, you lot know that, and then I got another 8 after that and nearly served all of that one as well. And when I was with all the kids on that 8-year sentence, they started to call me Uncle Yammy. I never really liked it, to be honest. But in reality, when you're with all those different gangs and a different era and a different age group from all postcodes from all around the country, and I'm a kind of senior member, but I'm still a bit off key during that time. When they start calling you Uncle Yammy, it's sometimes, or Uncle Billy or whatever. It is, I believe, depending obviously of your status in the prison system, it's almost like a mark of respect, because a lot of the young ones, they don't rate a lot of older ones these days. Facts, right? I'll get to that on another video very soon, because remember, I've been with all eras, really, from the late 70s to the 80s to the 90s to the millennium to the present, until I got out about 4 years ago. So I've seen the difference and the change in how it once was and how it is now. Now, with the Uncle Yammy thing with me, I never really, it made me feel it makes you feel a little bit older and time's going by, but I didn't really recognise it because I was still young-minded and I spent all my life in institutions, right? What I mean is when you're on, especially when you're going through the throes of addiction and things like that, some days you feel low and feel down, but then when I was clean, I still felt around their age group. It's true, and many of those youngsters will tell you that, and we know through previous stories that I've told when I was with all the youngsters, when I started joining forces with the youngsters, when they were paying me this and paying me that, and I had to reproduce the stuff that I produced in the Cat A's just to make them understand themselves that I'm not no old, easy man. After all, we know that's ego, still a sense of belonging, and still starts trying to stand by, all that stuff that you believed in yourself, what was needed in the survival place of the jungle. John Hasse, right, has been found guilty of that. He's got a 9-year sentence. A couple of people I forgot to mention. All right, they're saying he's 74 now, he'll be 79 when he gets out. No, he won't. Because the perjury after the 18-year sentence that he did 11 months out of, and Michael Howard, and that deal that I don't really pour scorn on, I'm on record for saying that, with the move with the guns, the ammunition and all that kind of stuff, where he was using his brain basically, but up to now I've never heard of him giving up any names on that. So he did 11 months out of that. I saw John Hasse in the categories in a few places. But they let him out. Michael Howard had to walk. Big scandal and all that. And when John Hasse got out, they got him back for the same case and got him a determinate or indeterminate, what's it called, thing, a license, where that's not a fixed sentence, basically, right? Where he got a 4 or 5 tariff for perjury at the Crown Court. So he hasn't got a fixed sentence. So he's on life license. Yeah, he's on life license. So that 9-year sentence that he's just got, he has to do half of that. And that don't mean he's getting out, because he still has to go in front of the parole board because of that life license. Will they let him out? Is it the bitter end? The jury's out for me, I'm afraid now. What it all means is, when you get older, was it an old debt? Was it something new? If it was something new, then surely the police would have found drug charges, his old behaviours from the life that John Hasse led before. Obviously, it isn't. Something points to me that it could be an old thing. Regardless, what I know with this life, right, you can get charged and you can get found guilty for things that you haven't done. But the probability and the possibilities of the high percentage rate is that more than likely you played some kind of part in this new conviction, because there can't be no smoke without fire. Because if you're nowhere around it, that new crime of arson, etc. in Sheffield, they won't be able to have a chance to find you guilty. So, I try to stick by and balance things out fairly on yammyb TV. But John Hasse has failed the ultimate test, really, right, in later life. For that age group, physically fit or not, it don't matter. Billy Moore is actually right, because now you're at an age where you're going to feel all alone and lost in the very jungle that times and years previously that you could play a youthful part in the system and be, but no, the youths, the kids, they won't really see it like that these days. Because why? Some of them don't even know about you. They might know through their uncles, very few, and they won't be playing up to you at this stage in your life. So your time's going to be triple, fobble the time, harder to do than it ever was when we was in our 20s and 30s and 40s. Now, I can't comment, it could be that the police are still, and the authorities are still want him, still want to get him. But I do point to the fact then that there can't be a drugs thing involved, because then there would have actually been witnesses to the arson and what was going on, what it was about. So it can't be over new stuff, because that means then they'd be able to follow trails and it was over a recent drug deal, he paid this for that. It might even be a business thing. Who knows? I haven't really looked into it. But that's what appears to me, appears to be apparent at this moment in time. The other thing I needed to clarify from some of the talks going on social media is that you can't really compare this recent John Hasse thing with Curtis Warren's. Why? Because Curtis Warren hasn't committed no new offences. Yeah, Curtis Warren is still paying, in retrospect, to his past and what they've got it in for him, like they would have had with John Hasse. The only thing is John Hasse has played right into their hands because there's a new crime and he's been convicted. Curtis Warren hasn't, he hasn't had a chance to prove that he has been rehabilitated. What does it all mean to Uncle Yammy? I'll tell you, I was laughing earlier. A few people phoned me. They said, yeah, but Yammy, if you went back to jail, just saying, right, we know I'm not going to steal. We know I'm not going to rob. I'm not going to burgle. I'm not going to con. I'm not going to deceive. I'm not involved in nothing like that in my 4 years out. You know what someone said to me the other day? One of my nephews, right, you don't know him, and one of my bigger brothers, right? Yeah, but what if you got into a fight and you had to do something because there was no way out of it, and you had to go back there? And they said the funny one was this one, right? And they were laughing, some of them, right? Especially Uncle Melvin and that, when I told them. They said, but if you had to go back, Yammy, and you had to see Gary Vincer, what would you do? I said, nah, if I had to go back to the Cat A's at this stage of my life, I'll be struggling to hear that cell door shut, right? I'll be demoralised with no hope or nothing. They said, when you face him and certain men, what are you going to do? I said, I'm going to go down the block. But I was only joking, right? Because one of my big brothers said to me the other day, yeah, but if I have to ever go back there, I'm going down the block, mate, because I don't feel the same as I did when we was youngsters. But the likelihood would be, if it's the Yammy that you lot know, would I go down the block? Or if I had to face people like Vinter, especially after he seen me on the TV show, what would I have to do? The beggar's belief, doesn't it? Because if I don't get him, he's going to get me. Gordon Bennett, boy, Baldy, are they serious? I'll have to plan that one out good, but in reality, I can't look at that. Because I know it's a sensible question, because without being a criminal, you could fall into unforeseen circumstances. And then I might go, Gordon Bennett, what am I going to do? What, let him kill this outside here? And you think, well, God, I'm going to have to protect myself, but you could still end up in prison for it. And it's a good question, but it's a funny one, because could I raise the temperatures of, do or die? Don't care whether whatever happens, the consequences, I don't care. It doesn't really matter. Could I, find out what I had before during my stay in the category A's, when I put all or nothing on the line. Could I reproduce that today? That same energy and say, but hey, I've got injuries and all that. I'm a little softy now. Good a minute. I don't think I could, all right? So the best thing to do when you reach certain ages, bygones be bygones. Don't get involved in no new stuff. Stay out of it. It doesn't matter. You know, live with the losses that you lost along that way. And if you still want to be involved in that life, then you got to face the consequences, and then we die sad, lonely figures in that lonely place. And I don't want to go out like that, right? So coming up in a minute, that Frenchie story. Loads of love to you all.